All right, here we are. Welcome to the journey. The journey. I don't know which is right, don't know which is wrong. Anyhow, so I said I wasn't going to do this when I initially got started with this. I did want to dig into the data. I didn't want to go through the numbers, and I'm still not going to really go through the numbers, but I have had many people ask to see my training peaks. They want to see what's went well, what hasn't went well. And so I said, you know what? I've got a unique perspective as a coach that's been coaching for several years. Worked with hundreds of athletes, and as an athlete myself. And so I want to look at last week, and I'm going to do this each week. I'm going to look at the past week and break it down kind of with my coaching hat on. My athlete hat has a lot different feelings for some of these workouts than my coaching hat is probably going to have. But I just want to dive into it. I don't want to spend a ton of time on it, but I want to explain a couple of things in here that I experience as an athlete and then what I see as a coach. So initially, as an athlete, I looked at this week and said, holy shit, it's going to happen. I don't know if you guys can see this on there. It's a 15-hour week that was planned, almost 16 hours, 860 TSS planned for the week. Big bike volume. Bike is where I'm going to make a lot of the run gains at this point in time in terms of getting back to running. So I had 10 hours planned on the bike. I had 2 hours and 40 minutes on the run plan, and about 8,500 planned in the swim. So we'll look right at the eyesores, and that's the reds. So you can see I missed a 2,500 swim here. Storms came through the area, nothing I could do about this. And then Sunday I missed a 2,000-yard swim at the beach. May have had a couple of glasses of champagne with Kendall to kind of celebrate Mother's Day and relax with some friends, and definitely didn't get back for this swim yesterday afternoon. I missed this recovery ride on Thursday. Honestly, I don't remember why. And I missed this run. I do not remember why I missed it. I know it's more than likely it's poor planning. That run's really what upsets me. And then Friday I had this run planned for off the bike. So let's look back at what happened during the week. So this ride I had an hour and 25 minutes. To be honest with you, I was just ready to be off the bike. I was done sitting on the trainer. I got up early. You can see I got up. I did this ride at 4:43 a.m., which is a big move for me. I typically don't get up that early. And I allowed technology to frustrate me. I had some pairing issues with Zwift and all of the fun stuff that, athletes get. And I let that get in my head prior to this workout starting. So this is actually only a piece of the workout because I'd already done about 15 minutes of warm-up prior to this. So this is actually the first interval here. And, the power numbers themselves don't matter. What really matters to me as a coach is I look at this, and there's a couple of things. I look at this, and you see this heart rate that just goes up and never really seems to come back in comparison to the other heart rates across here. This is all relatively flat, and this is up a lot. So there's a lot of being spent on this one effort. And when an athlete is in a mental place to where they just don't really give a damn and maybe don't really want to be doing what they're doing, it's easy to get this experience here and mail it in. I'm done. We're out. Gone. And that's exactly what I did that day. That's one of the beauties of what I'm trying to showcase here is it's not all rainbows and sunshines. More often than not, it's actually not rainbows and sunshines. You just got to plow your way through it sometimes. This one was titled Get Your Ass on the Bike. So hopped on the bike, just cruised around London. I think I may have rode with Kendall this day. Again, 4:42 a.m. I recognized, this is the day that I recognized I'm screwing up. Something's got to change. I got to get up earlier. So I just got up, put in some work. Did a run that day. Bought some new running shoes. And then ran with them this day. Didn't necessarily like them, so I switched them out with another pair. Did some swimming. I'm loving being back in the water, man. It's coming back quick. I'm actually ultimately enjoying it. And just before I started this journey and this bad idea, I actually was telling myself, I want to get back in the pool just for fitness, just for shoulder strength, because I got torn rotators and things like that, just for strength. It's the only place that I can find that my mind actually turns off is when my face is in the water. And sometimes I'm afraid of my mind turning off because I'm thinking maybe one day it won't turn back on, but I enjoy swimming, and so it's coming back pretty easily. Did get a little bit of a shoulder niggle last week as I got back into it. I realized I was crossing over a bit. Typically, if the top of your shoulder is hurting a little bit, you're probably crossing over and kind of pinching it. So corrected that, no major issues. Now, Friday is when we really get started. I knew that this was going to be a big stretch right here, specifically these 2 days. And so come in here, started this one 8:36 a.m., and this ride had some pretty nasty stuff in it. When I built this ride, I just kind of laughed at myself as a coach because as a coach, sometimes when you build workouts, you just laugh because you know what they're going to end up being. And this was a tough ride. I put it on erg mode to force myself on Zwift to actually ride what I had to ride. And target power for the race at this point in time is 165 to 175 watts, which should be pretty conservative, but with the time from the line that I have, that's kind of where I'm at. So I built this workout around that. I ended up riding for 2 hours and 31 minutes, and I normalized at 184, heart rate of 151. That heart rate's a little high. I think it was a lack of cooling in there that morning. From a coaching perspective, I can look at it. Let's pull it up here. From a coach's perspective, I can look at it, and there's two things. It's either the athlete got too hot, or the athlete just doesn't have the fitness yet, which I think it's a combination of both. But you see here where this power output and this power output are equal, but this heart rate and this heart rate are not. So the heart rate comes up, and it never really comes back down to this level right here. So there's just little things you look for as a coach and go, okay, this is a hard workout for the athlete. There was definitely some fatigue in there. And I'd ask them about, I see based on the map, when I look at the map real quick, I can tell that they're doing it on Zwift or some other online medium. So I would ask them, how's your airflow? Are you keeping cool? Do you have ice in your water bottles? Et cetera, et cetera. All in all, we had an aerobic decoupling of 4.67%. That's under the 5% that I typically like to see before I start throwing flags. So all in all, I'll step back and I'll go, all right, cool. This is a good ride, 1,300 feet of elevation. Did not get the run off the bike. The reason being I did not get the run off the bike is if you looked at the end of that workout, I was freaking smoked. I was done. And I did not force myself to go do this, which is not uncommon. I did not have my head screwed on quite right. I was done. I was ready to be done with it. I was ready to go eat some lunch with Kendall and call it a day as a nice deposit in the bank. I knew Saturday weighed on my mind all week. I stared at it. It kind of scared me a little bit, made me nervous because I don't know if I'm ready for it. So I hopped on. I did the 4 Horsemen route on Zwift. And you can see I went in 4 hours and went a whopping 58 miles, which is 14 miles an hour. The goal of that day was elevation, so I got 7,000 feet of climbing, and I averaged just above race power for the entire thing. So that, for me, is a big, big plus. The other plus that I see in there is my nutrition. That was my check on this ride, was my nutrition. The main focus as I rode this was just to kind of stay steady and never really overextend myself. And you can see in here that I pretty much did that. And even at the end down here, Kendall and I, we were riding the same workout, and we ended up being able to really push out a really hard KOM section out here, and she actually took the Queen of the Mountain on that section. So that's really super inspiring when you see somebody next to you just suffering their brains out for something like that. So this lets me know that nutrition is on. My nutritional habits are good. No real issues the next day. Didn't feel groggy later that day. So as a coach, I look at this and go, man, this is a much better workout for this athlete than this one was. This workout here really put him in the tank. And then a 45-minute run Sunday. So stepping back and kind of wrapping this up, as a coach, I look at this week and go, okay, it's not what it could have been, because I can just very quickly look at the hours over here and go 15 hours and you only got 11 almost. 860 TSS, 647 TSS. I go, okay, that's a little much. What I will look at though as a coach is I'll come in here and say, okay, just a couple weeks ago, really this is the second week of going, we were at 29 CTL. In 1 week we added 10 CTL. I know that is a no-fly zone. That cannot be done for very long before the athlete cracks or physically breaks. You go from minus 17 TSB down to minus 46. That tells me this athlete's in the tank pretty bad. And there was a whole lot of don't want to get me the hell off this bike. I'm fucking over this happening right here in these two. But I knew I had to grind them out or I would forever beat myself up. So yes, I was fatigued, but this tells me, I know it historically, I can get down in minus 60 before I really start to crack or fall apart. And I'm still fresh. I haven't done a whole lot in the past year in terms of structured training. So I look to see it's a big week. I know that this athlete cannot repeat this again because it's going to cause some problems with that ramp rate, that 29 to 39. Typically, you look for 4 to 6 CTL per week for a nice, smooth, long-term, sustainable build. More elite athletes can handle the 6 to 8 range with some 8 to 12 bumps in there. But for the most part, you don't flirt with that too much unless you're trying to peak them. So went ahead and built out the week this week. We're looking at 14 hours and 10 minutes, 743 TSS, so a lot of aerobic work this week. About 6K in the pool. This is the number I've got to build one more swim, so I'll be about 9K in the pool. I want to start targeting 8 to 10K in the pool per week with a couple of big weeks in there. 11 hours on the bike, that is a big ask, but we've got some 3 hour, 2 hour, 2 hours. So there right there, 7 hour chunk of time that I have to throw out there. Run duration, 2 hours and an hour strength. So that's where we're at right now. Looking at this as an athlete, I see red. I'm upset. I'm frustrated with myself that I let these things get away from me. One was not controllable. These 4 were. I will say that one's not because it's Mother's Day, but it still was. I could have planned better. But overall, these 2 bike workouts show me where my fitness really is. Runs are going well. Everything is cruising along. It's very nice. So that's pretty much it. But I wanted to break it down from a coach's perspective for those that actually care about the numbers and how things are laying out and from the more data and analytical side of it. But I can tell you right now, had I done a video these 2 days, it would have been really bad. I had so much to say about these workouts. I ended up saying nothing about them, because there was a whole lot of I don't wanna happening on both these at the start and all the way through to the end. This one, luckily we had some friends here that rode it out till 3 hours with us, so we just kind of struggled that last hour. But mentally, I didn't want to do either one of these. So it happens. It absolutely happens. So this week, we're going to get back at it. Got another ride to do this evening to equal this time out. But other than that, here's the week and away we go. So the journey week 2 is underway.